from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Coronavirus cases in Indiana continue to rise at an alarming rate. Tonight, a look at the numbers and how state and local officials are planning to get a grip on the pandemic. Good evening and thanks for staying up late with us. I'm Nicole Griffin. The State Department of Health reports 8,451 positive cases. That shatters the previous record set on Thursday at 6,654. 25 more Hoosiers died with COVID-19, bringing the total number of deaths to 4,638. Since March, more than 244,000 Hoosiers have tested positive for the virus. More than 3 million tests have been administered in Indiana. And we reached out to Governor Holcomb's office for a reaction to the latest numbers, and they referred us to statements from Wednesday when the governor and state health commissioner Dr. Christina Box announced some coronavirus restrictions are being reinstated. This comes after several weeks of sharp increases in COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths.
We've doubled our cases every week for 4 weeks now, and we know that a certain percentage of those individuals, especially our elderly individuals, will end up in the hospital. And so consequently, if we turn this around now and decrease those cases, we still have that 10 days to 2 weeks of individuals that are still going to hit our hospital system. So yes, this is why we have to turn the tide now. This is why we need to make changes now.
The new steps will limit crowd sizes in those counties at the higher risk levels of coronavirus spread and would cover 87 of the state's 92 counties. A new executive order will take effect tomorrow, limiting crowd sizes to 20 people in the highest risk red counties and 50 people in the next riskiest orange counties. The new order will also limit capacity at K-12 sports and extracurricular events. Schools are also adjusting to the rising number of COVID-19 cases. Districts in Marion County have to return to 100% virtual learning by the end of the month. Here's a quick rundown of when the districts will begin. It starts as soon as this coming Monday for students in Wayne Township. Washington Township students will be back home next Tuesday, while kindergarten through 6th grade students at Beech Grove will go virtual next Wednesday. Beech Grove junior high and high school students had already moved to virtual learning because of COVID cases at the school. Several districts will begin November 23rd, including IPS. Meanwhile, Perry Township and Speedway are waiting until the deadline of November 30th. We have a complete list of all the schools that are going virtual in the coronavirus section of WRTV.com. As more schools deal with COVID in the classroom, our Troy Washington talked with a parent and teacher who is gearing up to help out as the spike continues.
I'm an educator. I'm a licensed teacher, and so I know the struggles. I have my children at home. They are 5, 8, and 16. And so with the help of our 22-year-old daughter and my husband, we're trying so hard.
Crystal Hines is the president of the Inner Beauty program, but beyond that, she's a mom and she teaches. That means she finds Indiana Department of Health's newly released total of nearly 8,500 cases of COVID-19 especially alarming.
If my kids sneeze, if they clear their throat, I am going crazy. So yes, as a parent, I am super concerned about this virus. And I'm also expecting.
But that isn't stopping her or her team from stepping up to help.
We have been a part of the community's village for 17 years, and we don't want to stop now. So if we have to keep reinventing what we do to help, the best way we can, boots on the ground, Zoom on, whatever we have to do, that is absolutely what we want to do.
As many districts turn back to virtual learning, her nonprofit organization is offering in-person and virtual tutoring in Speedway.
With schools closing again, we want to open up our center to bring some of those students to the center to get, one-on-one approach. I know firsthand what it's like to be one of the people that we serve.
The plan is to keep students on track and cut parents some slack by giving them one less thing to worry about during uncertain times. Working for you, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Troy, thank you. The organization offers help to Marion County families, primarily young ladies, but they have a few spots for young men. Their Speedway Center allows parents to drop off students from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. Tonight, an Indianapolis mother whose son was killed is hoping an event she hosted today not only brings comfort to other grieving families, but she hopes it rallies the community together to help reduce crime. Kathy Mann organized the event called Put the Guns Down. Mothers Are Tired of Crying at Hovey Street Church of Christ. It was in honor of her son Trayvon's 22nd birthday. He was killed on the Northeast Side in 2018. The Gospel Jubilee today was a tribute for not only him, but for all of the homicide victims in the city. Today, she called on her community to get outraged about young Black lives being taken in the streets the same way they do about incidents that involve the police.
There's no second standard for murder, regardless of who's committing it. Like I said, the same passion that we put into having the riots behind the IMPD or any other police agency that's committing, crimes against our community, we need to have that same passion when the crime is being committed against our own people by our people. It's going to take more than just one person. It's going to take more than just me. It's going to take more than just the mothers that are already been crying. It's going to take the whole community to come together.
Well, Mann also says parents need to step up, especially if their children are committing violent crimes. She says she knows there are mothers out there that know what happened to her son, but there still has not been an arrest in his case. Tonight, we are hearing from the attorneys for the family of Dre'Jon Reed for the first time since the announcement that a grand jury declined to indict the IMPD officer who fatally shot him. Attorney Fatima Johnson said today she is disappointed but not surprised. She says she is beyond disgusted that Dre'Jon's family was denied justice. Johnson says the flaws of the justice system need to be brought to the surface. She maintains the statement that Dre'Jon did not fire at Officer DeJour Mercer. Indiana State Police say 15 shots were fired during the May incident near 62nd and Michigan Road, 2 from Reed's gun and 13 from Officer Mercer. Johnson says they will now move forward with the civil case.
DeJour Mercer did not stop shooting until Dre'Jon stopped moving, until Dre'Jon stopped breathing, until his life was gone and he was not here anymore. And all that was left was a memory and grief and pain and tears and blood and a tent. The way this case unfolded and the things that led up to the death of this young man and this decision of this grand jury, if they happen again, if they're not fully addressed, if people with power go through the motions to placate the masses with no intention of truth-telling or taking accountability, I will be back here next year saying this again, giving this same speech about the next person that is taken.
Well, right now we have the full press conference, which is just under an hour long, on our website and WRTV News app. We also have a story up on WRTV.com breaking down the evidence Indiana State Police revealed in their press conference after Tuesday's announcement. There's an investigation underway tonight after 2 Metro police officers say they were forced to shoot a man outside of a West Side bar. The 2 officers were working off-duty employment early this morning at the bar located in the 6300 block of West 34th Street. They say there was a disturbance involving several people outside near the entrance of the bar. The officers say they went outside and saw a man with a gun standing by a car pointing it at a crowd of people. They say they shot the man after he didn't drop the gun when told to. The man is expected to survive his injuries. Police say they found a gun at the scene and they believe it belonged to the man they shot. Tonight, the Indianapolis Fire Department is mourning the loss of one of their own who died while on duty. Matthew Bennett drove a fire truck to the scene of a possible building collapse on Friday morning. But once he arrived on scene, he told other firefighters he was suffering from chest pains. He was taken to the hospital for immediate surgery, but he died earlier today surrounded by his family. Bennett was a veteran firefighter with 23 years of service. He was assigned to Indianapolis Fire Department Station 1 on West 10th Street. Now to your forecast tonight. We are in alert mode, and meteorologist Kyle Mounts joins us now. Kyle, driving into work, I drove through some pretty heavy rain. Yeah, and we're seeing that rain lifting a little more to the north across central Indiana. We've picked up about 1/4 inch of rain here downtown. You can see temporarily drying out, though. We've got some pockets of moderate to at times some heavy rain right now around the Portland area, Hartford City, Muncie dealing with some rainfall, and that stretches back here into Clinton County. Some light to moderate rain around
around Kokomo as well. Temperatures, they're on the mild side right now. In fact, we're at our high for the day in Indianapolis at 49. It's in the 50s around Columbus, Bloomington, and Bedford at 52 degrees because we've got a weather system that's rolling through here. That's bringing, of course, the rain chances, but it's also going to be turning our attention here to the wind. Right now, it's not too bad. It's a little breezy southeast at about 16 miles per hour. But look at what happens here as we go through the overnight hours. We're going to see these winds gusting around 40 miles per hour. And as we get toward the morning hours and sunrise tomorrow, could have gusts between 45 and 50 miles per hour. So that's why we're in alert here. And we could see those winds gusting throughout the day on Sunday. That's why we have a wind advisory across the entire state. We'll detail those high wind gusts through your Sunday afternoon in just a few minutes.
All right, Kyle, thank you. For 20 years, it's been our pleasure here at WRTV to help make Christmas a little brighter for local children. And although things are different this year, the mission behind our annual toy drive has not changed. We kicked off the annual holiday event tonight at the Christmas Nights of Lights at the State Fairgrounds. $1 for every ticket sold for tonight's event will go to the WRTV toy drive. The Night of Lights is Indy's largest synchronized light show, featuring over 1 million lights synchronized to Christmas music through your car stereo as you drive through.
It's so fun. I get to work the line, so I get to see the excitement as people are getting ready, and I think people are just ready for just something fun to do with their family.
Well, the Christmas Night of Lights takes place daily from dusk to 10 p.m. through January 3rd. The aftermath of the election still in limbo. President Trump's supporters gather in D.C. while the president hits the golf course. The latest on what's turning out to be a tricky transition for President-elect Joe Biden. President Trump's supporters descended on Washington, D.C., protesting the result of the election, many falsely claiming the election was stolen from the president. The president has yet to concede, which is delaying the peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Joe Biden. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimber with the details.
1 week after Joe Biden won the presidential election, thousands of President Trump's supporters gathered in Washington, D.C. President's motorcade driving down Pennsylvania Avenue as he smiled and waved to the crowd. After being declared as the winner in Georgia and Arizona yesterday, Biden now projected to have 306 electoral votes. But President Trump, who spent the day golfing, is still refusing to concede, delaying the transition resources to Biden. Only 4 Senate Republicans have acknowledged Biden as the president-elect. Biden, still unable to coordinate with the White House Coronavirus Task Force or multiple other agencies, has named his chief of staff, Ron Klain, and is pushing forward with his own task force on the pandemic. During a bike ride in Delaware Saturday, he indicated there may soon be a decision on his cabinet.
Are you any closer to making a cabinet decision?
Yes. Many of President Trump's supporters falsely claiming the election was stolen from the president.
We believe that we won and we're going to prove it.
But the administration's own Department of Homeland Security determined the November 3rd election was the most secure in American history. There is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. The pro-Trump marchers were met with some counter-protesters, as well as this man, who didn't vote for either Trump or Biden.
I'm out here showing support for the policies I agreed with him on, and at the same time telling everybody out here it's over. He needs to concede. Don't be a sore loser.
Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has taken over the Trump campaign's election lawsuits. So far, judges in Michigan and Pennsylvania have dismissed the campaign's cases on voter fraud for lack of credible evidence. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington, D.C.
Andrew, thank you. It took 4 days for the Associated Press and other media outlets to call the presidential election for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now recounts and certification of the results will take a bit longer. Usher Karishi has more on what comes next and when the final results are expected.
6 feet behind.
With races too close to call in Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia, Pennsylvania became the battleground that tipped the Electoral College count in Biden's favor Saturday afternoon. But within hours of declaring victory, adding Georgia and Nevada to the blue column, President Donald Trump released a statement saying, quote, Joe Biden has not been certified the winner of any state.
Sure, technically it's true. Certifying election results takes a while.
Kira Lerner is the managing editor of VoteBeat, a nonpartisan nonprofit covering election administration and voting.
Canvassing is the process of counting the ballots. It's what election officials are doing across the country right now. They're working tirelessly overnight in some cases to make sure that every single vote is counted. And then the certification process, each state has a different deadline.
Certification happens after canvassing, whereby election officials verify that every single ballot was counted and there were no clerical errors. But tallying has taken longer due to record turnout and a surge in mail-in ballots. Still, 6 states have a deadline of within 1 week of the election to certify their results. In 26 states and Washington, D.C., the certification deadline is between November 10th and the 30th. In 14 states, the certification deadline is in December. The remaining states don't have deadlines.
It will be some time before we can formally certify the winner of the presidential contest, but that doesn't mean that we won't know without a doubt who our president-elect is, which we already do.
And then there are the recounts. In some states, they are automatically triggered when the victory falls within a razor-thin margin. In Georgia, for example, that's half of 1%. But in the majority of states, candidates, political parties, and in some cases, voters can request a recount. Currently, the Trump administration is calling for recounts in Wisconsin and Georgia.
In Wisconsin, you have 2 days after the winner of the race has been certified to call for a recount. In other states like Georgia, the Secretary of State has already said that he will be seeking a recount on Donald Trump's behalf.
Lerner says legal challenges and recounts will likely fail to change the outcome of the election. Electors will vote by mid-December and deliver to officials in Washington just before Christmas. It may take a few more weeks, but the official results, say experts, are unlikely to be delayed. I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
Usher, thank you. Gun sales are expected to hit record highs due to Joe Biden's projected White House win. Gun owners' fears of Democrats passing gun control legislation is what's fueling the surge in sales. Biden has long been vocal on the issue of gun control. His campaign's website calls for a ban on manufacturing and future sales of assault weapons like the AR-15. It's a position Biden has maintained since a string of high-profile mass shootings in 2019. Gun sales spiked earlier this year as Biden became the frontrunner to win the White House. Doctors found what they believe to be a breakthrough treatment for brain cancer. Doctors at the University of Michigan found a way to use nanoparticles to target brain tumors such as glioblastoma. Nanoparticles can create a timed release of medication, which means it can be given in fewer doses. Doctors gave this treatment to mice infected with glioblastoma. 7 of 8 survived their cancer and their body prevented it from growing back. Doctors say they've developed a device to help get alcohol out of the body faster. Doctors with the University Health Network in Toronto say pushing more air through the lungs speeds up the process of removing alcohol from your system. The device works by having patients hyperventilate the alcohol out of their body while preventing the body from losing too much carbon dioxide, which would cause people to pass out. They say their device maintains the body's normal blood levels while a person hyperventilates and gets rid of the alcohol 3 times faster. Kyle.
Interesting stuff there, and we may be wobbling around in the wind here over the next 24 hours or so. We've got temperatures out there tonight that are in the 40s and even some lower 50s. 53 for you in Bloomington, 50 in Muncie and Shelbyville at 51 degrees. Those winds right now, they're out of the southeast. They're starting to pick up a little bit between about 15 and 20 miles per hour from Greencastle through Indianapolis into the Kokomo area. And we will continue with steady winds around 20 to 30 miles per hour here throughout the day on Sunday. Again, that's why we have that wind advisory in effect, as we'll have gusts 30 to 50 miles per hour, and that will be bringing in some cooler air behind it. But here's a look at the timeline here with those winds out of the south initially around 40 miles per hour for those gusts as we get just beyond midnight tonight. I think some of the strongest winds will come around sunrise tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We've got those gusts over 45 miles per hour or so. And then as we go into tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, we're still dealing with wind gusts of 35 miles per hour or higher. So it's a prolonged period. We could certainly have some power outages and possibly some tree damage out of some of these winds that are going to be gusting even as we get to 11 o'clock tomorrow night, over 30 miles per hour. Here's a system responsible for it. It's also bringing some rain. You can see some thunderstorms back in Illinois, which we will inherit as we go through the overnight hours. Right now, it's just rain that stretches from around Lafayette through Kokomo into Muncie. A couple of lightning strikes, though, being detected here, just crossing into extreme western Indiana there, not too far from the Petersburg area. So here's a look at TrueCast. As we go through the overnight, we'll have some of those thunderstorms, but they should sweep through fairly quickly, not adding a lot of additional rainfall. As we get to around sunrise and just beyond that, I think the bulk of the rain will move into Ohio. We may see a few additional showers sneak into northern locations as we go through the morning, but otherwise we start to dry things out here with about 3/4 of an inch of rain altogether, so about another ½ inch or so is possible. Here's a look at what happens to temperatures, though. It starts off mild in the 50s, but look at that. Even by the time we get to mid-morning, we are in the 40s, and we'll hold in the middle 40s for those afternoon temperatures. 7-day planning forecast, we are going to calm things down in the week ahead, and that does bring in some chilly temperatures Tuesday, Wednesday, highs only in the 40s, but it's looking a little better here, above average and mild, with highs in the 60s Thursday, and it's going to stick around, Nicole, into next weekend.
All right, Kyle, looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Rural hospitals are starting to see a surge in COVID-19 patients. Coming up next, how they are preparing and how some have a benefit when it comes to resources. We told you earlier this week about how some rural hospitals are struggling with the new surge in COVID-19 patients. According to the map, the most critical areas are in rural locations. Our Alyssa Donovan spoke with one hospital leader who says despite being rural, they are weathering the storm because of one major benefit.
Some rural hospitals in Indiana are already reaching record amounts of COVID-19 patients, while others are just preparing and waiting for the surge. Goshen Hospital in Richmond, Indiana, releasing a statement that there are 44 patients in their COVID-19 unit. Columbus Regional Health and Schneck Medical Center, both in Seymour, releasing a joint advisory as inpatient demand remains high at both hospitals. But some rural hospitals have not yet reached their breaking point. However, they're preparing for it.
We've seen an increase recently in the number of COVID patients.
Currently, IU Health Paoli Hospital has 3 COVID patients, but that number can change in an instant.
We have patients showing up every day with COVID or COVID-like symptoms.
Their capacity is 25 beds, which isn't much considering the area they cater to.
We serve Orange County. That's our primary service area. That's right at 20,000 residents. But we also get patients from Crawford County to our south, which doesn't have a hospital, Martin County, which doesn't have a hospital in that county.
But hospital president Larry Bailey says their facility has a major benefit, being part of a large healthcare system like IU Health.
We're able to call on resources outside of our own hospital within the region. We can transfer patients to other IU Health facilities if needed to make rooms available for patients.
So while some hospitals are struggling, Bailey knows he can depend on an entire network if they reach capacity.
I've been on calls with some of my rural colleagues throughout the state, and everybody's seeing an increase. I think everybody has prepared for this moment.
I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
Alyssa, thank you. Most rural hospitals in Indiana have 25 or fewer beds available, which is why healthcare leaders are encouraging all Hoosiers to continue wearing masks to help stop the spread of COVID-19. We're back with the final check your forecast coming up after this break. A giveaway that happened today came at just the right time for families preparing for winter during the pandemic. The grassroots organization Creating a New Society hosted their 6th annual coat drive, but with some changes. Multiple sanitizing stations were within arm's reach, masks were required, and social distancing was strictly enforced. Organizers say there was a noticeable increase in demand for new coats. The pandemic has left many families with less money at a time when most would be preparing for winter.
A lot of families around here have to where they need help with food. They don't have enough money to like pay rent sometimes or pay bills, and this actually helps the community a lot.
The group planned to give away more than 400 coats from inside the safety of the John Bonner Center. Any family could have a coat as long as a child was present. Listen up, fans of ABC's The Bachelor. You can now experience the famous Malibu mansion for yourself. Since the dating show hasn't been filming due to the COVID pandemic, The Bachelor mansion is up for rent on Airbnb. It boasts 7 bedrooms, 8.5 baths, a pool, and 2 jacuzzis. The mansion rental will set you back a steep $6,000 for just one night. And by the way, that does not include a meet and greet with host Chris Harrison. Kyle, I bet that's going to get booked pretty quickly.
It probably will. Somebody will enjoy that.
2 jacuzzis.
Yeah, you got to pay the bills, right? ABC. All right, we got temperatures that'll be cool next week.
All right, Kyle, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. Have a great night.